Hey kids, what's happening? This here's Anxiety 333. I heard there's some bad comments on my last pedalboard demo setup, so I'm gonna just redo it a bit. Nothing's really changed too much, so bear with me here. So basically, what I'm doing is I figured out that I like stereo setups. I'm gonna probably keep that. I run through an old UB250 Univox through an old 1975 Fender basement cabinet, and I also got a basement 60, and I still got the price tag on it, $99.95. You're not gonna find a Fender that much, but it was a solid state, and it distorts like shit. But anyway. This is my first pedal. I go into an old Boss tremolo. Usually I use it on like the faster settings because it just has a throbbing gristle kind of sound to it, you know. And I've been using the tremolo part a lot lately, but I've also been using the pan. But since the Univox sometimes don't want to work, I have to put it over there. And yeah, that's pretty much that. And another pedal I have here is my DD7, which I only use the looper on. And sometimes I'll use the analog mode, but not often. And there's like these occasions where I've had like 6-second delays and stuff. It's pretty sick. But other than that, not much anyway. We're over here to the Cathedral, which I gotta say, I kind of found it limiting in a way, because first of all, I only use like these three right here, the hall, room, and plate. I don't really use anything else unless I'm doing something crazy. Like, for instance, I got the turbo lover thing set on the grill floor, but don't really sound like it. You know what I mean? But I do use the hold feature a lot, so that's one plus of that. And another thing, we go into this old Ibanez analog delay. Now this is actually pretty cheap. You could pick these up on eBay for like $100 or something, you know. The thing I like about these old Ibanez analog delays, they oscillate really, like, they don't oscillate as well as other analog delays because they got built-in noise circuits, but you know what? These actually do oscillate though, but they just take a long time, which is even cooler because you don't want it to start immediately after you hit a note, because you could sustain a note if you want and do that. But anyway, here's my volume pedal, which I use quite a bit for mainly just to cut down the noise on my two crappy bass solid state amps. Other than that, I go into this old small clone next, which I think the foot switch is dying on me, because sometimes when I turn it on, the damn it keeps losing volume. I don't know what the hell it is, but I don't turn it on often because of it. Anyway, and then we got my old Digitech whammy, which is I only use like the 4th and 5th and the octave up and the octave down. I don't really use anything else by that, except I'll use the occasional whammy, but that's about it. And then from there, we have this real orange cable that goes all the way around into this old Boss PS2 pitch shifter, which I gotta admit I don't really use all that much for pitch shifting. I only use it mainly to, you know, I do like more as a doubler. I use it more as a doubler effect. Sometimes I'll sneak in a little yes, but for now I don't really use it too often, just to thicken leads, I guess I use it. And then, of course, my Ross flanger, which is, it's kind of like an MXR flanger, except it's much cheaper and it's lesser known. But the only problem I have with this thing is the foot switch. The foot switch is terrible. Sometimes when I'm turning it on, it'll like mute for like a second and then start going on. But other than that, it's a really nice sounding flanger. So I'd recommend it, but you know, the foot switch issues and all that. Then I got an old Behringer Ultra Vibrato, which I use on when I want warped VCR sound kind of stuff, because I have a few songs that do like really weird vibrato tricks in it. That gives me my Adrian Belew shit. And then we go into that, into a late 70s small stone, which I don't use often. I'll only use it for like really weird shit, because I know EH likes to have weird shit going on. So I crank it up the thing and I make weird shit with it, but I don't use it often. So then we have two Boss flangers here. One's an old high band flanger that's very rare. The other one's a 1985 Boss BF2. This is a 93, 94. It's very late. And the thing I like about these are both analog flangers. Pretty much 80% of my rig is analog. I'm not using no XFX neither. I'd rather cut my own nuts off and sell it to the black market than buy a fucking fractal audio. So, hey, I got like a tape flanger thing, and then on this side I usually have like an ambulance kind of thing going, like, yeah, weird shit like that. But if you combine this with the tremolo, you get some really fucked up siren sounds out of it. And then we go into my favorite fuzz pedal, the Univox Super Fuzz, which is I like this thing because you can get really good boosts out of it. And I try to imagine myself at Woodstock with this pedal, I tell you, because when I kick this thing on, I feel like I'm part of the 60s. And then we go in from that into an old Mutron phaser, which I use a little bit more than the small stone, but I don't use it often. I don't know why, because this is a good sounding phaser. I guess it's because of the loss of volume. A lot of these older pedals, they seem to have lost volumes. And I guess the bypass wasn't as good, but you know what? It's something we gotta deal with when we're buying old pedals, right? So anyway, it goes from that Mutron into an old Boss bass chorus. I did have a CE2 on there, but the damn thing went out on me once, and I don't know if I'll trust it to go back again. But I mean, it works. It's just it's missing an LED. I'll show you right now. Look. See, as you can tell, I can't really turn it on or nothing because it's probably really blurry. But anyway. And right next to that is my Boss CS1, which I love dearly because it does all these. It kind of, what it does is I turn this is pretty much on 95% of the time, because I have to control all the modulation in the rig. I like to put the compressor right before the distortion so that I get clear modulation going with when the distortions get kicked in. And I also, if you put that with the Super Fuzz, it sounds extraordinary. You get tons of sustain. And then we go to my old Boss DS1, which it's pretty cool. You know, you got that old classic rock setting. And then I have my Hyper Metal, which I want to replace it, and you guys got any good suggestions, holler at me. Then my Rocktron Silver Dragon, which is what I'm using to replace. I eventually hope to get a tube amp one day and sell this thing, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. But however, this is probably my most used distortion pedal. I use this quite a bit because of that 12AX7 in there. Highly suggest you get a distortion pedal with a tube in it, because if you get solid state distortion in a solid state amp, it's gonna sound like shit. And finally, I go into this old late 70s Thomas Horgan Crybaby, which I don't use wah often, but when I do, it's like very sporadic to the point, you know, it's nothing special. And that's pretty much my rig. You know, I got my old Washburn, my friggin' Fender, and my Warlock, and my Gibson in there. And I do have a Dymo Flame, which I am trying to sell. I'll go about 500 and up. I can't do nothing else but make me an offer, and I can't refuse it. And you know, just my this is like my jamming rig right here. This is what I use when I want to do covers or play along with other people. I just use this, and I use the ME6 because the ME6 actually has an analog distortion circuit built in, so it's not cheap or nothing. And anyway, that's pretty much my rig right now. Hope this is a better video than my random pedal setups.